Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tom Kelly. This is Clean Cut Audio, and I have not had a proper haircut in months. How are you all holding up? Seriously, let me know. I hope you're all doing okay. This week, I've got a video on something that I didn't realize was an issue until someone told me there's an issue. We're talking about mouth clicks, not lip smacks, but mouth clicks, that buildup of saliva in your mouth that gets embedded into your podcast audio, and it's kind of gross once you really know what you're looking for. And once you hear it, once you notice it, it's going to bother you for the rest of your life. So there's a very easy, very effective tool made by IzoTope in their RX suite called Mouth De-Click. Today, we're going to learn what we're looking for, how to very easily use this plugin, how to apply it to our tracks and get rid of all those disgusting mouth noises so that your listeners have a better experience enjoying your podcast. All right, let's do it. As I mentioned, the problem we're dealing with is these little mouth clicks, the saliva between our cheeks and our gums and our teeth. And let me give you an example of what this sounds like. I'm going to turn off my Mouth De-Click module. We're going to take a listen to this. All right, so I'm not even really trying to make a sound. I'm just moving my cheeks back and forth, which when you talk, your cheeks move, right? That's how you make sounds. And some of the saliva clicks and moves around, and it's kind of gross. So we're going to dig into one of my sessions here. This is my episode from 2 weeks ago of my podcast called Clean Cut Audio. We covered mixing on headphones and studio monitors. What's the difference? What are the pros and cons of each? And some pretty nice tools you can use to kind of simulate listening in a great studio, but with a pair of headphones on. It's pretty cool stuff. So if you want to check that out, cleancutaudio.com/podcast. But let's dig in here. I have turned off the Mouth De-Click module, and we're just going to listen to my already mixed audio without Mouth De-Click on. We'll do before and after, and then the delta, the change between the two, which is going to be kind of gross, kind of disturbing. So prepare yourself for that. I don't know what we're listening to. Let's just hit play and go. It is a very subjective thing. It's hard to please everyone. If you are me mixing this show, it's hard to even please yourself sometimes. I come into the show every week thinking, God, last week sounded like trash. How can I make... So what we're listening for, it's like little tiny clicks. And then let's listen with the mouth click on. It is a very subjective thing. It's hard to please everyone. If you are me mixing this show, it's hard to even please yourself sometimes. I come into the show every week thinking, God, last week sounded like trash. How can I make it better? This true story, agony. Okay, so you may not have heard a difference, but there was 159 clicks that were removed from this audio. I'm going to hit this button. This is like the horror movie sound effect button. It's going to output only the click. So this is going to be the delta, the change in audio. Let's listen to this. It sounds like a horror, like alien movie sound effect, like they're communicating through these wet clicks. And it's subtle. It's really subtle, but man, it is so easy to throw this plugin on. This is the default setting. All right. So I just throw it in real time. So I go in here in Pro Tools, whatever DAW you're using, should work as well. And we're going to go to noise reduction. Mouth De-Click. Now there is a De-Click module that's going to be different. We're looking at Mouth De-Click, and I just let it ride, man. Like, it works for me to just have the default setting. There's a couple things here. So we have sensitivity. That's like how aggressive it's going to be in removing what it thinks is a click. Frequency skew is what is the frequency of that click. Is it like a low frequency click? Is it a high frequency click? Mine personally is good to just leave in the middle. I've had some people where it's like it's lower pitched. So maybe, experiment with it being a little bit lower and click widening. I never really touch it. There's been times where, again, if it's like an aggressive mouth click, which is sometimes emphasized by Zoom recordings, maybe throw that up a little bit more. But for me personally, it works with the default settings. I usually leave them there. Feel free to experiment with your own audio. Every audio file is going to require something different, but I just throw it on and I forget about it. That's it. We can do not real-time processing. So I can go back to the very beginning of, or the very end of my audio, shift return to go select the entire track, and up in Audio Suite. This is a Pro Tools thing. This is probably how you would do it in Audacity. We're going to print this effect onto the track, create a new clip. It's destructive in Audacity. It's semi-destructive, not really in Pro Tools, but we can just run the whole module, click render, and it's going to process that whole track. And we can see down here, man, 322 clicks removed, and we're, 5% into the track. It's going to be tens of thousands of clicks. This is not something you can do manually. It's going to be like embedded into the audio. If it's a lip smack, right, we're going to have to probably remove that manually because it's very loud. And it's also not happening usually during other speech. So we can do that manually. There's probably something you can do in IzoTope RX to get rid of those automatically, but I do it manually because we should just not be smacking our lips. Like, that's something we should fix in the recording side. But okay, so we're like 25% done. 4,300 clicks removed. I'm not going to wait for the whole thing here. It does take a while because it's doing a ton of work. Now, the thing to know is that Mouth De-Click is pretty CPU intensive, and it's going to add quite a bit of latency to our track. 2,687 samples. That's pretty big. You're going to hear that difference. And between that and the Soothe 2 that I'm running, there's quite a bit of delay between the time I hit the play button, the space bar, and the time when the track actually starts. So when I'm editing, I'm turning all of my CPU intensive plugins off, anything that's adding a bunch of latency, and that gives us like a better response time. That's later on the CPU, and I only turn this stuff on when I am bouncing down the track for the final export. It's going to make the bounce take quite a bit longer, just a heads up, it is. But it's worth it. It's going to add another 5 minutes maybe to a bounce time. Or if you're doing the not real-time processing, it's going to take about 5 minutes to render the whole thing. You have to do that for each track. But it's going to make a huge difference in, well, huge meaning a rather small difference, but right. So even that little thing right there, we can play that back and remove the mouth clicks from that, play it without, and you'll hear that it's kind of a gross sound, right? We're so close to these microphones. It's as if someone was right in our ear clicking their cheeks around. We don't want that. So we're going to remove that. It's a little distracting from the words, and try to make this podcast sound as tight, as listenable as possible with as few distractions as possible. Really simple video. Listen for mouth clicks. IzoTope RX Standard is not cheap. It's like $350 or $400. It comes with a lot of other very great plugin modules that I use on a lot of my sessions. It is not included in IzoTope RX Basic or Elements, which is like $100. I think this might be one of the few plugins I use that is in Standard that is not in Elements, and I personally think it is worth the massive price difference. It does a lot of work, and it makes it easier for your listener to not be grossed out by the alien signaling calls. So, Mouth De-Click, check it out. There's free trials of RX Standard. You can see how many clicks it removes from your podcast, hear the difference before and after, see if it's worth it. I highly recommend it. Sometimes the money just isn't there, and that's understandable. Maybe it's something to work towards. But that's going to be it for this week. Really simple, just kind of introducing you to this small idea that can really help your podcast. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do so and ring the bell so you don't miss a video. I've got new ones coming out damn near every week. I try my best. And I have a podcast also called Clean Cut Audio. You can check that out in the description below, as well as my Patreon. If you're really enjoying the channel, feel free to, support it in any way that you can, or not. Just really happy to have you here. Share it with a friend. Thank you all. Please stay safe. Please respect one another. Please love one another. I love you all, and I'll see you later. Bye.